moving on to chapter 3, speaking of intersectionality, Guy is a parent and had to disappear from our recording to be present for her children. So in chapter 3, we talk about how advantage groups try to create change, focusing on attempting to discriminate and gain and maintain superiority. In the next chapter, we talk about allyship, but this chapter, there's lots that I like about it. I really like that we take seriously the whole range of advantage group actions and privilege, not just, discriminatory laws or, prejudiced emotional expressions, but also, intergroup violence and colonization and genocide. And even though the book was written before the Gaza October 7th protests and the last few years, like, we try to take seriously the war in the Ukraine and other contexts, and not just focus on the lab studies in psychology, although those are so rich too. And, we focus on the defensiveness of advantage group members, diffusion of responsibility and silencing, complicity, competitive victimhood. There's a lot of fascinating psychological processes that we cover in this chapter, and it's also part of the heart of traditional social psychology, like a lot of work from the 70s, 60s, even earlier, is represented in this chapter. So that's, I guess, how I respond to it. What about you? I'll start with you, Cecilo. I'm going counterclockwise today.
Thanks, Jennifer. Yeah, I think the most interesting part about this chapter is that it moves us from the in-group versus out-group perspective. So when we talk about disadvantage and advantage groups, especially when we link this chapter with the following chapter or chapter 4, in this chapter we still talk about what we expect or what we predict about how advantage should respond to the the call for social change or systemic change. So they might defend the system, they might support the status quo because they don't want to lose benefits that they gain from their position as advantage group. But that's not the situation. We have much more possibilities about how advantage group might behave to respond the call for social or systemic change.
Yeah, and advantage group members are often part of that social change. Even men voting to give women the vote. People fighting to end slavery who are not just in the enslaved group. I mean, that complexity is really exciting in both chapters. We talk about it. That is chapters 3 and 4. What about you, Kiara? What are your thoughts here?
Yeah, I honestly love this chapter. From my perspective, it's so important to read, particularly for members of privileged groups. I'm a white woman in Australia, so yes, sure, I'm a woman, but I'm also a white woman. And that has a huge impact in how I experience life. And I think it's really, really important for people who are in situations particularly like mine to actually delve into the aspects of their privilege, because I do see a lot of backlash where people are like, oh, yes, sure, I have this dimension, but they kind of weaponize intersectionality. And I think the narrative in this chapter challenges that idea, because people are like, oh, but, I experience disadvantages, this part of my identity, so therefore I can't be privileged. And understanding that that's not actually what intersectionality is, you can have both. And I think, this chapter does a really good job of kind of going through that and looking at both how, classic examples of many white women really reinforcing racism. So I think it's really important to recognize your privilege and kind of reckon with that and realize it doesn't make you a bad person to have privilege. But if you fail to question those systems and you always kind of react with that sensitivity and aggression and backlash if you're challenged, then you're never going to make progress, and then you are part of the problem. So I think, this is a really good chapter to read for people.
I really agree. And that experience of fragility and defensiveness is psychological. I mean, that's kind of why I like this book, The Psychology of System Change. It's not just personal. It's very regular pattern that when someone challenges you, it doesn't feel good and it makes you feel fragile and defensive. That's just a reality. So I just love that we rehearse that research, that we make it available to the community and to students. It's awesome.